Hey, come on. Hey, what?
Here we go, here we go, here we go now. Let's chit chat, this is the show now.
Come on.
Bad black mama's gonna let you know now. Here we go, here we go, here we go now.
Come on.
Let's chit chat, let's chit chat, let's chit chat, sis. Hey,
What's up?
let's chit chat, let's chit chat, let's chit chat, sis. Hey.
So tonight we're gonna talk about something, and this may not be affecting you, or maybe it's affecting you.
It's affecting. I don't know too many people who it don't affect.
Okay, so when I chose this topic, because actually, Mel brought this to my attention
hmm
that you know, how do women really feel when they make more money than their partner? And I'm not just talking about any old random man. I'm just talking
hmm
in with your partner. Um, I had to really think about it. You know what I mean? I had to really think about that because I've been married going on 20 years in August. And
hmm
I can tell you, me and my husband have gone like this.
Really?
Yeah, like sometimes I made more, sometimes he made more. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I ever really thought about it. When we first met and we were dating, we were kind of like hitting neck to neck. You see what
hmm
I'm saying? But things happen, events happen in our lives where somebody got a promotion, somebody lost their job, you know what I mean? So
hmm
things changed and
Right.
the balance switched, but we never even kind of discussed it because um this is another topic of having separate bank accounts and all stuff like that. I don't I
Yeah.
don't I don't have all that because um it's not that I think that I should have that. Actually, Natasha, I think that I just don't have enough time to be you know,
Right.
managing that because all the money in the house, I see it run through here, and
hmm
my husband writes out the bill, so I can see and I balance it. So I don't want to have something over here to be trying to get my life
Right.
together because something ain't gonna go right. You know what I mean? So when I thought about this topic, I just said, let me just do a little bit of research on this. Whew, Lord. Do you know that is probably one of the number one reasons people get divorced?
hmm
I didn't know that. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
hmm
I was like, whoa.
Money. Absolutely.
What? Okay, so that's my thought is I didn't think it was an issue. I didn't think it was an issue, like I just said. I thought because things can change at any time. Maybe because I've been in a long, relationship. I consider 20 years long.
hmm
Um, but I didn't think it made a difference. But apparently makes a difference. Um,
Yes, it does. Very much
so
so.
So do people come to you because I mean you are the expert, you deal with I guess more intimate things, but that could be intimate. You see
No, money is very high up there. Money and sex are very controversial
yeah.
issues in relationships.
Oh my I mean I can see that because let me just reverse the tape. I'm not gonna be with you if you broke. Now that's not gonna happen. I'm not trying to save you. You know what I mean? I'm trying to save me. So I ain't gonna be with
hmm
you if you're broke. But I do have total understanding if you make less money than me. Because I want you to have understanding if you make more than me. I don't want it to be about money. You see what I'm saying? But um
But it is. It ends up, and believe it or not, Kim, I have always been the breadwinner.
okay. So
Always, always. I thought about that in like my self-reflection journey because my dad would always say, you know what? You gonna mess around, don't ain't nobody gonna want you. I was like, what are you talking about? What
the
are you
man
talking about? He
part.
was like, no, 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 it's the way you act. And I dismissed it. And he'd been telling me that for a couple years. And
Mhm.
it wasn't until the end of last year, the beginning of this year, when a light bulb went off. And I was like, oh,
Wow.
I get what he's saying because I am so used to being like, for a lack of better words, independent.
Mhm.
Like whatever I want, I get it for myself. Whatever I
Okay.
want to do, I am the one that manages everything. And I have always in all of my relationships been that. There is at some point a lack of trust
Oh.
that comes into play, whereas it's like, okay, well, I don't trust you to be able to take care of this, so it's fine. I've got it. Even if
So
someone
you
could,
say a lack of trust on your part.
right,
Okay.
right, because
Okay.
you're so used to doing things on your own, and you're so
Okay.
used to people not being able to meet a
Mhm,
particular standard. So
mhm,
then you just get into that independent Black woman mode where it's like, it's fine, I got it. But when you meet someone
mhm,
that matches you and can have it, you
mhm.
end up pushing them away
Okay, well, you gotta elaborate on that, because
because you're not used to someone being able to step in and say that I have it and actually mean it. So when they try to do that, you're like, no, I've got it. And then there is that power struggle, and you don't know how to accept help and believe that they're actually going to have you. And I
wow,
think as Black women, we kind of struggle with that in a sense anyway, of
right.
believing that when someone says, I've got it, I'm going to take care of it, that they're actually going to do it. And you don't have to run behind them and check, or you don't have to fix something that they've messed up, or like leave you in crap because they didn't have it and they didn't communicate that they didn't have it. So now you have this person that comes in, is healthy, has their stuff together, and you don't trust it. You don't believe it because you don't know what that looks like. You don't know how to accept that. So then you start being old extra independent, pushing that person away, saying, I got it. And eventually they be like, okay, well, if you got it, I'm gone.
Well, that was just what I researched though, Natasha. It was
Mm-hmm.
the two things that was pretty dominant. One is because most, especially women of color, we have been such a statute of independence.
Mm-hmm.
When someone comes in and makes equivalent or even less, I'm not going to say that they make more, because more then it's a whole other conversation going
Mm-hmm.
on, but make equivalent or less. And I'm going to say equivalent because the equivalent was still deemed as less.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
like you said, I can't really put all my eggs in your basket because you know, yo, I've been rocking this over here for all
Mm-hmm.
my life. Um, you are just extra. You see what I'm saying? You bring
Right.
you might bring, I might bring the whole eggs in the basket, but you may just bring the salt and the pepper to it, because I don't really need,
Right.
because I can do without the salt and pepper, but I
Right.
need the eggs, and I made sure that I need that. And then what the males were saying is that that causes a lot of problems because they feel like their manhood is being
Mm-hmm.
challenged.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was like really an eye opener to me, because I just think about my husband, and my husband is he is probably the most laid back, nonchalant person, really. I ain't gonna say in the world, but really in my situation compared to what I previously dated.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes down to like, I just think about every, like, say you get bonuses at work and things like that. My
Mm-hmm.
husband does not even take something out to like get his stuff. I have to tell him, you know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't really care about stuff like that, because he already know that, okay, you make this and I make this, so all our stuff is good. You know what I mean?
That's all that
So
matters, right?
that's all that matters. I think that it took years for me to get more comfortable with that situation, because I was probably like I want to make sure my check covers the mortgage and everything, because I'm not going to sit here
Right.
and
Let something happen.
let something happen. I had kids from a previous marriage, and now I'm gonna tell you that made me like that, because
Mm-hmm.
it was some shady stuff going on in that one. You see what I'm saying? Where I couldn't depend on what he was doing. And I don't want to keep on calling and saying, can I make an extension? You know what I mean? So it just
Yeah.
taught me that, okay, you know what? I need to rely on me and live in my budget and means. And again, what you bring is extra. It
Mm-hmm.
taught me to be able to relax that feeling, but it didn't happen overnight. Um, my surprise is that on the flip side, why would men feel some type of way? Because what I researched, men feel some kind of way, not that the wife or the girlfriend or fiance or whatever is being dominant, Natasha. They feel that because the woman is not letting her guard down almost to be
Mhm.
letting her money be full access, because usually what I'm researching, I'm gonna go back to that. Women who make more, they got some stash over here, you know what I mean? And this is our family money, because I
Right.
ain't gonna let you pull the rug from under me. So men
Mm-mm.
feel a certain way because they feel like, okay, well, maybe you need to be a little bit more transparent. I'm gonna say transparent in the fact that you got money over there. And why I don't know about that money over there. You see what I'm saying?
Because you know
Go
it's
ahead, because
always
I'm gonna let
it's
you say.
a catch 22 because you do want to make sure that you're good. You also don't want to let someone in something where you end up without. And so
Yeah.
sometimes it's just a safety measure of let me make sure that this emergency stuff is over here so
Mm-hmm,
that I know that we've got us. I know that this pot takes care of all of this. But
mm-hmm.
if something happens and I can't work or I don't have a job, we have a pot over here. And sometimes when people know about that pot, they want to dabble in it. And it's just like that's not that's not what it's for. It's not what it's for. So
Well, let me just say this. I don't have an extra pot nowhere because I told you it took long,
mhm.
lots of years. Okay, lots of years. What? But but I'm going to say this much. I think the only reason I don't, Natasha, is because I do control. You know,
Mhm.
I have the whole visual of what we have. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I think if I saw something creeping out, you know what I mean, and like no explanation, then I think I probably
Mhm.
would become more guarded. You see what I'm saying? But I'm not guarded anymore, but I can fully understand. I can fully understand because I've been down that road, you know what I mean? I don't want you to tell me what I need to do with my money. You see what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Mhm.
I just don't want to have you tell me what to do. Like that's not gonna work. You know what I mean? That's just something that I just was instilled when I was a kid. You know what I mean? My dad used to always tell me, you better have your own little piece of paper over here, because he
Right.
used to see, because my dad used to go so deep with some stuff. I have to laugh about it. He used to be like, you better have your own paper. Pretty ain't gonna last you forever. You better have a brain in your head. You know what I mean? He used to say all these things, but now that I'm older, he was nothing but right.
Mhm.
Nothing but right. And I told you I had to experience that. So let me ask you this question. Chelsea, welcome, darling. Um, let me ask you this question. Do you get men coming and complaining about their wives or significant others making more money than them? Because
I haven't had that. I haven't had that. Most times they don't have an issue with it. It's not the money that is the issue. If anything, it's the dynamic and their ego being hit depending on how she's acting around the house or how she's
that's
treating
it.
him
That's it.
because he doesn't make the same amount. But a lot of times they really don't have a problem with it. Like guys, they're for it. They're like, that's fine. Go ahead and do what
So
you
it's
got to do.
really us, because
Yeah.
it's really us, because the person that asked me to do this episode, he was kind of getting like this kind of almost, I kind of control you because I have
Right. It's a
the-
power thing. It ends up being a
yeah,
power thing.
yeah,
But if you don't have those conversations, which is what I tell my couples all the time, we can't go into relationships just assuming that things are going to be what we think it should be. Because
right,
I'm thinking one thing, you're thinking another thing. If we
right.
never come together and discuss what that looks like, what the dynamic should be, we end up butting heads and miscommunication, frustration, resentment, and then now the relationship, now they come to see somebody like me because because all that is going on. So you have to have those conversations. It's real easy to just jump into bed with somebody, but like let's have the conversation about, well, what's your money look like? What's your money look
But
like? Like
that's a good point. When people come to you, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to expose people, but I think women need to hear this, because why is this conversation like almost the aftermath? You see what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
started the relationship, but you didn't ask the pertinent questions because I think that can stop the relationship, or at least you know what the relationship is going to be. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, okay, I'm sitting here, I'm making 7 figures, and you make not one figure. You know what I mean? Well, I'm not gonna say that. That's not right. Well,
Kimmy,
a half a figure. Is that a thing?
I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, God, I mean, is that a thing? A half a figure, or what is it? What's half a 7 figures or whatever? But you know what I mean.
Yeah,
You make a minimum wage.
So
Let me
five.
say it.
Okay, so five figures versus 6 or 7 figures. That's
Okay,
what we're
that's what
talking about. But
I'm saying. So
Natasha, I've been listening, and I'm so sorry my video isn't working, and
you're fine.
I'm away from
That's-
home. So, but all that you said has really made so much sense. And Kimmy made a point when she said that oftentimes the issue is the woman who makes more money.
mhm,
Mhm.
Oftentimes, not every time, because there are some men that feel some kind of way about it. However,
mhm,
I've noticed with the younger generation, they don't have um, as many hangups about it as maybe our generation does.
yeah.
Mhm.
And but I would say that in our generation, those men who do make less will work really hard to try to match
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
they
That's
will work
Absolutely.
really hard to try to match that. And so in whatever way they have to. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just depends on what you feel you have to give up to be able to do it.
Mhm.
I've been married twice, and my first marriage, I made, somewhat less than my first husband, but it was a situation where he could work overtime and things like that. So
Mhm.
then, but base salary wise, we were almost equal. I just
mhm,
never felt any type of way about it myself.
mhm,
But I could see how some men might feel some kind of way about it. But I feel like if you're bringing something else to the table,
right.
then you don't necessarily have to have those feelings. And
Right.
so if I make less, and I make less than my husband now, but we both have side businesses, we both do things, I bring other things to the table, so, and that's appreciated, right? I just think that for those that say, okay, yeah, I have this woman and she makes more than me, and as long as she's not rubbing it in the face, then it may not be an issue.
But
But
that's where the problem
That's
lies,
where it
is the
goes.
rubbing it
That's where
in
it
the
turns the right
face.
corner.
And the ugly head rears itself, and it's basically like, this is my table, sir. And
exactly.
and
But you know
I'm
what I think?
letting you come to my table.
And guess what? And what I have found is I know some people like that. What I found is that was a taught behavior to them.
Mm-hmm.
That woman feeling that way was a taught behavior to her, not her
Yeah.
just feeling that way automatically. Unfortunately, a lot of it was passed on by their mothers. So the
Right.
few that I know that are like that, it was passed on from their mothers. And I have heard their fathers say, you shouldn't do that.
Oh, that's so
Mm,
ugly. Like, oh my God.
yeah.
You
And
know why I say that's ugly? Because I say this so many times. You never know what in life is going to happen
gonna
to
happen to you, right?
and you have to eat crow pie because your ass
Yeah.
will sit up there and demean somebody else. You should be so careful of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I was
Mhm.
impressed that their fathers said something, right? Their
Mhm.
fathers said something to them. Why are you treating that man that way?
Because he
You
knows
knew
what it
you
feels like. Because his mama been doing it
Exactly.
to him. He was like, "Don't do this. I know I'm still with your mama, but they're
right,
different."
but their dads made more money. So that was the part that just really just kind of made me want to kind of figure out, like, where does that come from? Why would your mother encourage you to be that way. You chose this person for a reason. I'm
Exactly.
assuming, like Natasha just said, I'm assuming that you had that money conversation before
Mhm.
you got to a certain point or whatever. So if it was okay with
Hopefully.
you then, why is it not okay with you now? But then I realized it's twofold, right? Because it's just like falling in love with someone, and the same reasons why you fall in love with them are sometimes the same
Mhm.
reasons you wind up not, falling
Mhm.
out of love with them,
Falling out of love with them. Yeah.
and have an issue with them later on. The same thing that you found attractive is the same thing that's repelling you.
Yeah.
But if you know what I think happened to Chauncey and Natasha, the initial newness of a relationship causes like that fog head where you just so in love with other things, but that dollar sign may be still sitting back here. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
when an issue come up, that's when it becomes an issue for real. You see what I'm saying? Where you become almost, instead of togetherness, it becomes self. And
Yeah.
I think it's hard for men to be able to, and I wouldn't want that to happen to a man or woman, to be in a predicament where you now feel demeaned because, you're going to start putting the power cards out there like, yo, I told you, you know what, that table is mine. Don't,
Mhm.
remember that the table is going to go with me. So not you,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so I think
Yeah,
that's,
I see what you mean. Yeah,
yeah.
I get it.
But also thinking about, listening to what Chauncey said about the mom, also thinking about her circle. If we're having a conversation with our friends that also make money and we're like, well, he don't do this, and they start getting in your ear,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to play a factor too, because
That's
now
our
you're
problem.
embarrassed in front of your friends and they're in your ear talking about what this person should and shouldn't be doing. So whereas the relationship was fine until you started sharing things with your friends, now they've enlisted this shame and this guilt on you because of what he should or should not be doing because you make the money or how you should be showing up. So the circle matters as well, because if you bring him around your friends and they're treating him crappy,
Right.
Your friends gonna have to go. I mean, like
Mhm.
you okay, so like I'm just gonna put this out here. We talk about a man making less money. We ain't talking about a goddamn bum. You know what I mean? That's something totally
but sometimes that, depending on what you've learned and who you are as a person with that power,
different.
there is no difference.
Oh, that you're gonna be single. You're gonna be single. You're gonna be by yourself. I'm telling you now, you're gonna be by yourself. You go, yeah.
You know what I've also
You're gonna
seen?
be invested in dildos and all that stuff. I'm telling you right now, that ain't gonna work out. It's not
What
gonna
I
work out.
But what I've also observed is that sometimes they make more money,
Hmm.
but they spend more money. And the person who has less knows how to save. So then
Yeah.
that's where the balance comes in, because I may make more, but I sure don't know how to keep it. I don't know how to
Right.
keep what I have. But that person can show you how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. That's a big point, and that's how you just you bounce off of each other. I mean, you complement each other because um, it's not really what the actual dollar figure is. It's actually what's being done with the money. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
someone
That's the point. Yes.
got no money and you reckless, your ass gotta go. You know what I mean? I mean, just think about that. May be the issue too. You see what I'm saying? You got
Mhm.
50 cents and I got $500, but you want to spend 400. You ain't got
Mhm.
400 because now I'm gonna tell you ain't got 400 because now you done took the house money, the gas money,
Exactly,
everything
which
else.
is why they've got that pot on the
Yeah, so
side.
that's what I'm saying. I don't want to sound contradictory, but saying something like that where when Chauncey said that, okay, you spending recklessly because now you're like, yo, we got a whole lot of money.
We got all this money.
Right, we
Yeah.
got all this money, then I can see where rank can start to become a big factor. You know what I mean? Think about what was that movie? Soul Food. Every time I think about Soul Food
Mm.
with Vanessa Williams, when she was both of them were attorneys, but she was making
Mhm.
more because she was a partner and things, and she kept everything down to the dollar and cents. You know what I mean? I'm not
Mhm.
saying
Yeah, but he left his job. he left
He
his
left his
job
job
to
because he
pursue
wanted
his
to be a
dream.
singer, right?
Yeah, to pursue his dream. And so then that's the other thing, right? Is the person you with, do they have the ability to make
Right.
money, and they choose not to and choose to do something else? Or in the words that you were saying, Kimmy, are you just, did you just pick that bum up? Because I think you can clean up anybody. And if you
Yeah.
make enough money, then they can take care of the house. And that could be something you don't have to worry about.
Right.
Yeah, because
Right.
we didn't even talk about like stay-at-home dads. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? That's because everybody is not motherly. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not saying in the bad way that the career is
It's
more
first.
advantageous to
Yeah.
be for the mom to be out there
Mhm.
working. You see what I'm saying? She has more potential and growth, and the dad is cool with being home with the children and raising the children. I ain't talking about the babysitting the kids. I'm talking about raising the children. The same thing, because I think we kind of take men out of the picture and say, well, you don't have the potential to do that. But there's a lot of single dads out here raising their
And they're
children.
doing very
And
well.
they're doing very
Yeah.
well. You know what I mean? Very well. So I think in different situations like that, but that could become, a bad sticking point too, because that relationship can be very vulnerable. If you come home and you don't want to give it attention or anything like that, or you start nickeling and diming, I think it can become a really bad, situation and lead to bigger problems. So I think this was a really good topic because I think when people hear this, because it's a whole bunch of women out here that's balling, and I say
Mhm.
balling, a whole bunch of women out here balling, and they have really solid relationships. That's why I was glad that you joined this one, Natasha, because we needed your lead on this. Because I just wanted to know, what are people hearing this, or what is the rumble of the woman making more than the man? You know what I mean? Is it down
Mhm.
to a culture thing? You know what I mean? It's a culture thing?
I think it could be a generational thing.
Okay.
I definitely think it could
That's
be
what
a
I think.
generational thing, and how I will say my particular generation is just, we gonna get it how we can get it. And it's us against the world. And because we're trying to not do away with like gender roles and everything, but that's just not, it's not a big deal like it was. Like it's nothing for the guy to be at home cooking and cleaning, and it's just not that big of a deal
Right.
for us. It's just like whoever can go out there and get it, let's get it, so that we can catch these flights, so that we can go to the beach, so we can go and eat how we want to eat, like so we can have the things that we want.
Right.
That's what we're looking for, because we're looking at our parents and our grandparents, and we're like, we don't want that. We don't
Right.
want to subscribe to that. We don't want to work extra hard for someone that doesn't appreciate us. We don't want to be at home with these kids all the time. Like, we understand self-care. We can ask for help.
And that's a good thing. That's
Yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah. So I do think it's generational, because sometimes you'll see people like, what are y'all doing? Like, why aren't you doing this? Why ain't he out there working? Because that's not what works for us. That's not what works for
I'm
us.
glad you put it. Can you repeat that again for the people in the back? So
That's
It's
not
not what-
is not work for us. And
Right.
what works for one person doesn't work for everybody. And I think older generations, they were trying to force that stuff to stick, even if they were miserable and unhappy. So for women, it's like, I would love to go to work, but I can't. You won't let me. I got to stay here. It's just like a given thing that I have to do. But they're miserable. And now couples, as long as they're communicating, being vulnerable, and sharing their feelings, they can thrive instead of just surviving together.
That was huge. So
That's good. Thriving instead of surviving. That
that was
makes a
huge.
whole
Thriving
lot
instead
of
of-
sense.
Yeah, that was good. Okay, so I think this could probably lead on forever and ever, but it was so many different things that you could have touched on, but you touched on a lot. And I can't thank you both enough. So in closing, what do you guys have to say concerning women making more than men, or vice versa, men making less than women? I just changed the words around. But
I think that as Natasha said, if it works for you and it works for your situation and you both have agreed that that's how things will be, then you're fine. You don't have to live up to what society's norms are or what they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do what works for you and just be respectful either way,
Mm-hmm.
and have the honest conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. Natasha?
Keep your business to yourself.
That's number one.
Everyone doesn't have to know the ins and outs of your financial dynamics.
Right.
It's not necessary unless y'all are just so close. Like, you have them friends that you're just friends with forever. You just share. But if it's not necessary and you don't need to talk about it, don't need to talk about it. It's not that serious.
Yeah, I think that's a good, both of you guys made really valid points. I think you cause more turmoil by inviting extra opinions
Mm-hmm.
into your I mean, that goes for anything when it comes down to your relationship.
That
Some things are
includes
not,
family.
yeah. They at the top of the leaderboard.
Especially family.
They especially them. Hell, put some quotes around that. Especially them, because you know what? Let your stuff get wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
You crawl back to them. I'm telling you, it won't be a good thing. So
Mm-hmm.
honestly, that was a valid point. In closing, I will say this much. Respect go a long way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I just will emphasize what I said before. Be careful who you try to be domineering over. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They may be the same person that you will need. You know what I mean? When things turn around for you, because we know nothing in life stays is a straight and narrow course. That course is curvy, wavy, and all kinds of ups,
Mm-hmm.
downs, and around. And you don't know what you may endure in life, and you burn bridges. Because some people stay in marriages and they have been almost demeaned, and you know
Yeah.
somebody has a narcissistic pattern. You see what I'm saying? And guess what? Something turns around and they lose their job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about the society we live in now. You just never know when your job could go under. That
That
can be
doggone
a
Diary of a
bitter
Mad Black Woman. Things
yeah,
changed real quick.
Things change real fast. That's the first thing I think of.
lightning fast, lightning fast. Don't end up getting a plate of beans served to your ass because you've been nasty. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Just be careful what you do. So this was an excellent episode, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't wait to get feedback from this episode. Like certain episodes I know people just say, oh, I enjoyed it. I think this one is probably gonna spark, some conversation, and I hope it don't spark conversation where you get your ass in trouble. I'm just saying spark conversation where you may have to self-reflect. You know what I mean? Say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, maybe I've been doing that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I may need to pull it back a notch. So thank you. So again,
Thank you, Natasha. It's always great having you.
always,
Thank
always.
you.
And
Thank
sorry
you.
for my tardiness and my background noise.
That's okay. I'm glad you was here, Chauncey. So catch us every week as we drop a new episode on Wednesday. You can always catch us on our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So joining me tonight is
Natasha.
And I'm Chauncey.
and I'm your girl Kimmy. So see you again next week and have a good day on purpose.